Hey everyone, welcome back to the B Studio. Today I'm here with a brand new video for you guys. We're going to be talking about When Calls the Heart, Season 8, Episode 7, titled Before My Very Eyes, and I'm here with my mom, Stacy. Thanks for joining me.
Hi, guys.
So, sorry this is kind of late. We've had a lot going on, but it's here, our review of Episode 7. So, I thought this was a better episode. Not as much with the love triangle stuff, which I liked. Ned and Florence, especially Florence, really took center stage. This was definitely her episode. And I think it just shows how much she's developed as a character, and she's went from gossip girl. I mean, I think Molly still has that. They both still have that gossip side of them. I mean, the Rosemary is more gossip than them now.
Yeah.
But I think we'll get more with Molly too. But Florence, for instance, she's really grown as a character in this episode. Showed it. I also like different aspects of the episode. Like I'm liking where they're going with Christopher and the whole mysterious element. I'm liking where they're going with Joseph Canfield, definitely. So, interesting, some development. I specifically like the scene between Joseph and Clara, which we'll talk about later. But what did you think of this episode?
I liked this episode better than some in the past. I definitely like that the main focus wasn't the triangle. And yeah, I'm like you. I'm excited to see where this goes with Joseph and with Florence and Ned. I think those are two big ones, and of course curious about Henry's son. So we'll see what happens there.
Yeah. So let's start out with Flo-Yo is the name for them. Flo for Florence and Yo for Yost. So that's their ship name online, and that's what people tweet with. So Flo-Yo. And Flo-Mo is Florence and Molly's. M-O for Molly. Okay. I thought that Ned was obviously going to survive. I don't think they would kill him off, especially with the whole blossoming relationship between Ned and Florence. That would be very upsetting, and plus Florence would be heartbroken again. Kind of being another widow, even though not really.
Right.
But I think what they did is that they made them the central storyline, and I think that it really did work. Because we saw a lot of development from Florence, and I really liked this. I really liked when he proposed to her. I thought that was a really sweet scene. And at first, she just said he should focus on getting better, but then he made her promise him, and then she said yes, and then they were engaged. Mm-hmm. And then it's after that when Florence starts stressing out at the mercantile because she can't handle all of it. She has to do Ned's job, which she knows. She's been around Ned enough to know how to do his job.
Yeah.
So what did you think of Ned and Florence getting engaged?
I think that was. I'm excited for that. I mean, we kind of saw it coming, but I'm happy about it.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I'm glad he made it through everything, and the interesting thing, how they saw Florence working in the mercantile was that someone else came in and took her place. So that was pretty funny to see Rosemary there. So
yes.
What do you think about that?
That was very Rosemary. She was definitely gossiping on the phone, and Lee was trying to get her to stop.
Yeah, that was pretty funny.
Yeah. But I didn't think that like Ned and Florence, like it is like going pretty fast, But I think it's fine, I mean, they should just be. I think Florence and Ned both need to be happy.
Yeah, and they're an older couple, and they've been through this before, and if they like each other, then let's get married. Why waste time?
It'll probably be this season, I'm assuming.
I think it will be. Yeah.
All the couples compared to a show like, Heartland, it seems like they go on forever.
Right.
Like Amy and Ty, 8 seasons until they got married. And this one, and When Close to the Heart, they typically go a little bit faster. Mm-hmm. It typically seems to go like either half a season or like a full season, like Jack and Elizabeth once they got engaged. Yeah. And they already confirmed there would be a wedding earlier on in the season. Flo-Yo, we didn't know that was happening then. So I assumed maybe Elizabeth would get married to either Nathan or Lucas, or Carson and Faith would be getting married, but it turns out it'll probably be Ned and Florence.
That's a possibility for sure.
Carson and Faith, they didn't really have any moments this episode, but you could see how they did work together as a team, even though they had their relationship issues going on. Maybe it shows them that maybe they have a stronger like working relationship, and maybe they'll stick with that and not do romantic. It's not like I don't like them together. I just feel like they've been bouncing around with the same storyline for a while, like job offers and stuff like that. And it's fine that distance is their biggest struggle. I just don't think it needs to be like all the time. It feels like they have like a situation going on. It feels like they don't get to be happy.
Yeah.
Recently.
I thought it was interesting that when Elizabeth came up after the 2 surgeries and said to Carson how much we appreciate you and, and I think that's kind of got him thinking like, well, my surgery skills can be useful in a small town. So we'll see whether he decides to go off or he decides, he can be happy in his practice there.
We'll just have to wait and see. I mean, we didn't get much with that this episode, but I'm sure that'll be something that'll be resolved by the end of the season. Okay, so Ned turns out to be okay, and him and Florence are getting married. We got this really cute scene with her singing into him, and then he just woke up. It feels like magical in a way.
It was sweet.
Very sweet, and now it looks like they're getting married. So very fun, and I think that it really showed development for Florence as a character and even some development for Ned as a character. So it was really sweet and it left it off on a really good positive note. Okay, so the next thing I wanted to talk about was Joseph. So he holds a prayer vigil for Ned, and I did really enjoy that because it shows that he is like the religious person in Hope Valley. But this episode just started to show because it almost was like he's this like perfect person. We can see more of his flaws, it seems like now. But like many started to question Joseph's religious, and I don't think it's because she sees anything bad in him. I just think it's because, he it is the family's decision to decide if they want to take that route. So I do understand where she's coming from. I did really like that conversation between them at the church, where he says there's not like a bell, there's not like a pope, there's no one. There's not those aspects here, so they have to be built. And then Minnie said, like, in whose eyes Joseph? So there's, like, this, like, not an argument per se, but there's just, like, this back and forth between them. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I thought that was really neat. He's kind of struggling. Do I want to be a pastor in a small town? I had such higher aspirations than this. And, she's trying to say to him, this is not about you. And, that's an age-old struggle for all of us. It's not about us and what we want. It's, following a higher calling.
Yeah, it's like, the thing is that it's like a family decision, like I said. So they have to work together as a family to decide how they're going to do it. I mean, I'm hoping that he becomes the pastor and marries Ned and Florence.
Yes, I hope so.
I'm hoping. But I do understand where Minnie is coming from, she hasn't been my favorite character, but maybe she's starting to come around to me, I think. And then there's a scene between Joseph and Clara, which I really liked. And he pretty much said to her that she needs to invite Jesse home because they need to enjoy the marriage before they talk about money. Because it's like relationship, then money, and they need to work on those issues. Because he brought up the whole God thing again, how God is like what is holding you guys can hold you guys together and not make you fall apart. So what do you think of that conversation?
I thought that was really good. Great advice, and I think they're going to take that and they're going to be okay. So that was good.
Because there was a Jesse and Clara scene this episode. It was at the diner and it was pretty awkward.
Yeah.
And I think that's the way it's supposed to be. I think that just makes sense. I do think that Clara is being kind of like, but I don't think necessarily anything bad because we don't know what Jesse's done yet, which I really want to find out what he's done.
Yeah.
But I think that Clara is taking the reasonable way. So what else? So Lucas and Christopher. So Christopher and Rachel are getting closer together, which I think is a cute little romance. I think. And meanwhile, we find out that Christopher has stolen Lee's watch. We find out, and Lucas finds out from Lee that
it's missing.
That's missing. So then he goes up to talk to Christopher. Now, do you think there's some sort of like backstory between Lucas and Christopher, or do you think this is like just like him being suspicious of?
Yeah, I mean, Lucas has had his history in his past, where he's probably not been always above board. So I think he just kind of sensed something in Christopher that Christopher's a little sketchy. So, naturally he went to him and said, "Hey, you know anything about this?" So
And
you could see the friction between the two of them.
he did steal it.
He
So
did.
I'm kind of waiting to see,
Yep.
like, I mean, obviously, like, Henry and him are bonding. If Henry finds out, that'll be interesting to see. I'm not sure if they're going to make a big deal about, like, him stealing the watch or not. Um,
I think it'll come out.
Yeah.
I think there's going to be a lot that comes out with him because we're seeing that he's not a good person. So
yeah, and there probably will be, like, I'm assuming there might be some tension with him and Rosemary and Lee. I'm assuming.
Mm-hmm.
I'm assuming that's especially
Yes.
Lee because he stole his watch.
Right.
But we still don't know the full backstory on Christopher and what happened to him. So I think we still need to unravel that before we fully go against him.
Yes.
Because I still think that he's an interesting character, and I think that he is nice to Rachel. So I guess that's a good thing.
Maybe we'll see.
I don't. I
I'm
mean,
not sure.
I don't know. Like, and we don't know
Yeah.
like his intentions. I mean,
Right.
he seems like he likes her, but it could be like a scheme or something.
Right.
I'm hoping not, but okay. Last thing I wanted to talk about was the whole love triangle. I'll get through this quickly. Allie's adoption ceremony is coming up, and she invites a lot of people, but she does not put Elizabeth on the guest list. Do you think there was a reason for that, or do you think she just didn't?
I think she was just hurt by all of it that Elizabeth chose Lucas instead of her uncle, and yeah. But then she turned it around, didn't she?
Yeah, which we'll talk about that in a second. But I think I did like how Nathan said that even though the people aren't Elizabeth still cares about us, whether it's romantic. I mean,
Right.
he didn't say those words,
Mm-hmm.
but she still cares about us no matter what.
Mm-hmm.
And Allie was starting to think that Elizabeth didn't care about her because she didn't choose her uncle.
Right.
Which, I mean, she's just probably an 11, 12 year old around there.
Yeah.
So, she wants Elizabeth in her life because Elizabeth's a nice person. So, not seeing that, it feels like she's lost something.
Right.
So, I think that it does make sense for her to be upset in
Mm-hmm.
that case. We also see some Elizabeth and Lucas moments. We kind of see him trying to hold her hand and she's still hesitant, which gave me big red warning flags. For I mean, the end of the episode kind of, I think, solved that issue of that because Elizabeth asked Lucas to walk her home and she actually holds out her hand,
Yeah.
which was a big step for her, I definitely think. A lot of people online, I think this was do you think this was a step for her choosing Lucas?
Seemed like it. It did seem like it. Mm-hmm.
I mean, I almost feel like they're getting so much development of Elizabeth and Lucas as a couple. I just don't see how they can throw that all away and her go to Nathan. We still have more episodes. We still have more episodes, I know, but we still think that it's going to be Nathan. So it's just going to be very interesting to see what's going to happen because I just can't see her throwing Lucas away like that when they're getting this much development. But we see the ending scene where it turns out Allie played matchmaker.
Yeah.
And she just invited Elizabeth. So Elizabeth and Nathan kind of stare at each other, and it's almost like husband, child, wife.
Right.
I saw that too.
Awkward.
Awkward, and I think that would definitely be some tension, to not with Allie, but maybe some Elizabeth and Nathan tension. What did you think of her doing that?
Oh, it's not surprising. It's something very typical of what a kid would do that wants that relationship to work. So
yeah. Okay, so that is going to be the end of this podcast. I think that this was a good episode. I'm excited for next week because it looks like Elizabeth shouts at Nathan in the street regarding his involvement at Fort Clay.
Yeah, I'm anxious to hear what that was.
Super excited for that. Anyways, I'm going to thank everyone for watching Play Studio. Like, comment, subscribe, turn on post notifications so you never miss a video. Thanks for watching, and